All right, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to go over how to calibrate the hardware settings or the power calibration on your sBitx transceivers. So this applies to all of the sBitx models, including the DE, V2, and V3. We're not sure about the V4. We have to see that hardware when it does come out and is available. I also have some information on the sBitx as well. The sBitx uses the same method and procedure. However, it's only a 5-watt radio. So you want to make sure that you calibrate it to 5 watts instead of the scale that I have on my wiki page. And speaking of the wiki page, etc., I have all of that information down in the description below that you can check out, including the power calibration tool, how to get it if you don't have it on your radio, and our Discord. And if you do like these videos, we certainly do appreciate it. The volunteer development group is, we put a lot of hours into the software. So if you'd like to buy us a coffee, there's a link in the description, and we certainly do appreciate that. So I'm going to try to keep this video short. I know the live stream last night ran really long. I ended up deleting it because I was pretty tired, and I think I'll end up redoing it at some point, or just making smaller, shorter videos with different things in them. Okay, so getting that out of the way, I'm going to show you the wiki page. So this particular page covers the calibration, and you can find that from the home page. And it's called Hardware Calibration. And when you do click on that link, it gets you here, and it talks about the differences between some of the various models out there. So the D and the V2 used IRFZ24N MOSFETs, which were capable in that configuration of up to 35 or 40 watts. What the manufacturer found out is that is too much to push through this MOSFET in its configuration, and they were basically self-oscillating and blowing up. So that's when the V3 came out and dropped it down to 25 watts, and they changed the power MOSFET configuration to an IRF 510. So there are two IRF 510s in the V3 and two IRF Z24Ns in the DE and the V2. Now, there were some upgrade kits out there available that you could modify your DE and V2 to prevent or limit the chance of damaging the finals. But in any case, this hardware calibration can apply to all of the models, because they now all use the calibration files that are on your sBitx. So this is just a little bit of background here. On our 64-bit version, as of version 3.025, we were able to use the calibration data in the hardware settings file, and I made a application that will help you get close to a true calibration without overdriving the final amplifier stage and jeopardizing the purity of the signal. Now, I do have a thing out here that says, this is I don't want to say a quick and dirty method, but it's certainly not a lab grade calibration by any means. This will get you close, and in most cases I think a lot of people just run with this and they're good to go. So you don't need any special equipment or expensive oscilloscopes and other equipment to do this. Really all you need is obviously the transceiver, a 50 ohm dummy load, and I put it down here that says that capable of power handling of at least 50 watts. And the reason for that is because if you are running the V2 or even the V3, you want to make sure that your heat dissipation in your dummy load is sufficient. So if you're running nearly 50 watts into a dummy load, at some point it will get hot pretty quickly and fail. So again, 50 watts is good. Now if you're doing this on the sBitx, of course you don't need a 50 watt dummy load, but you can use probably a 10 watt in that case. You'll need an external watt meter. So if you have, for example, I have several pieces of equipment here. One that I use, it's older, but it works as an MFJ VersaTuner, and that has a built-in 50 ohm dummy load and also a power meter and SWR meter. It's a manual antenna tuner. So I use that on my radio to help me calibrate this. If I really want to get finite, I will grab a bird watt meter that I have and hook that in line. And like say, for example, if I have radios coming into the shop for repair, I will certainly use the more expensive equipment for those. It's preferable that you have an external keyboard and mouse to do these, so it's easier to navigate the screen, enter text in the Raspberry Pi. So you would plug that in through the USB port. You can either use a wireless dongle or just a regular wired USB keyboard or mouse. And finally, the last thing you'll need is the V3 Powercal editor. It's an application that I wrote, and it is in the sBitx toolbox. If you are running the 64-bit version, I believe version 4.0 or higher, it is available right on the image. Otherwise, you can go into sBitx toolbox and you can update it and then get this tool. Let's see. So I will bring you back to the sBitx screen here. So again, I have this currently connected to my 50 ohm dummy load on my MFJ tuner. And I also have the application running. I also have the toolbox running. So going back to what I said before, if you don't have the Powercal editor in your toolbox, so if you go into your list and you find that sBitx Power Calibrator is not in here, you can go ahead and press update, check for updates, and what it will do, it will go out to the internet and find out if you're using an earlier version or a later version. It will tell you that you're, like for example, if you're on an older version, they'll say, would you want to upgrade to version 3.02? And then you click OK. It will go ahead and update all the applications. It may take, 2, 3, 4 minutes to do that. Once it's done, you would reopen the sBitx toolbox and you should find it in here. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into toolbox. I'm going to add the power calibrator, and you'll see now it's in my application screen here. So before I load that, I want to show you the very important step that I almost forgot. So over here on my wiki page, in the procedure here, it says that you need to connect your watt meter and dummy load in the following order. You need to open V3 Powercal editor. It was V3 because I named it as V3. I don't know why. Probably because of the hardware. So start sBitx. So step number 4. Set the frequency to 3535 USB, drive level 100. AGC off. Tune duration is 3 seconds. Tune power is 100. And then you press the tune button. So then basically what you're going to do is you're going to look at the power output on your external watt meter and measure it and see if it's within spec. Now there's a chart below here that says, now these are nominal output, maximum output for these frequencies. Now, it may vary on your machine depending on whether or not you've replaced the finals, reset the bias, or if you have any other I don't know, issues with your radio that may prevent a higher or lower power output. So basically in here you follow steps 4 through 7, and again it talks about how you would do this. So the one key thing in this is that you want to make sure that you make small adjustments. So if you already have your radio calibrated and set up or close to calibration, you don't want to increase this number exponentially, because number one, you may risk overheating your finals, your MOSFETs, and damaging them, or you may end up having the output be distorted. So you certainly don't want to have splatter all over the bands and not be able to use your radio effectively. So again, there's some information out here. Now the V2 models, if they're unmodified, they haven't had the upgrade kit, there is a tool, built-in tool in the sBitx called TXCal. I will not cover that in this video because the procedure that I'm going to go over today does cover all these models. All right. And if you don't have the PowerCal tool, you can use this command on your sBitx and grab it, and then you're able to run it. You'll have to find it probably in your downloads folder or wherever you run this command. All right, so let's get started. So what I've done is I've already preset my radio to these frequencies, and I've done the other preset up that I'm using upper sideband mode, my drive level, AGC, tune duration, etc. So if we go here, let me bring my drive up to 100. So right now I'm on the 80 meter band. I'm at 35 megahertz. My AGC is off. I do have menu 1 open, so I can I can set my tune duration and my tune power levels. So you can leave this menu open during the process. And here I'm going to run Power Calibrator. So when you bring this up, I'll go ahead and minimize this stuff. You're going to see that it's reading that hardware settings.ini file on your sBitx, and these are the current gain values for the power MOSFET stage, the final amplifier stage. So each of these numbers represents a value that, say for example, right now I'm on 80 meters. If I press the tune button, oops, sorry about that. Right now it's showing about 6 watts. So that is obviously really low. So my calibration is way off on this radio. Now again, this is a test radio that I purposely ran out of calibration just to show you how to make these changes in the video. So in this case, because I know that looking at my chart that I should be seeing about 25 watts nominal output power on this band, then I would need to adjust this band level here. So in this case, because it's so far out of whack, I'm actually going to make some pretty significant changes here. Okay. So right now we're at 0.0232252. I'm going to set this to 0.003. I'm going to hit save. It says that my configuration saved successfully. Now right from this menu, instead of having to open and close the application, the sBitx application, I can stop it here and then restart it. And the reason why you have to stop and restart is because each time the sBitx application is loaded, it reads the settings in that hardware INI file. So it reads the values of those. So we'll see we're back here. So if I hit tune, you can see now I'm up to 11 watts. So I went from 6 to 11 watts. 12 watts. Now I am reading the values off of the radio, but I am also looking at my external watt meter as well. And they are pretty close. All right, so I'm gonna actually bump this up to, let's bump it up to 4 and see what happens. Save. Stop. And start. Okay, press the tune button. Now we're at 24 watts. And looking at my external meter, it's about 23. And by the way, the longer you do this, the more quickly your radio will heat up, and these values could change. So we're at 25 watts, between 24, and to me this is good enough. And I'll just bump down to 22 as it's heating up. But looking at my external meter, everything looks good. So I'm actually going to leave this value. So now I'm going to go on to the next band. And that's 60 meters. And here's my frequency, 5330.5. And right now you can see that my scale factor is at 0.0033. So I'm going to make sure that my AGC is off. I still don't necessarily need my drive level to be 100, but I will, since everything is dependent on the tuner function here. Tune duration is 3, tune power is 100. So I'm going to press the tune button. And you can see that this one's really high. This one's way out of whack. It just said 32 watts, 26 watts. So as it's averaging, it gets a little better here. 1,000 watts. So that's why you'll notice that it does jump around quite a bit on the radio, which is why you want to use an external power meter. So I'm looking at my external power meter, and I'm going to bump this down just a little bit. So in this case, I'm going to do 3.1. Save. Stop. And start. So you're asking yourself, well, if it's already calibrated at the factory, why do I need to do this? Well, for a number of reasons. If you've migrated from the 32-bit version to our 64-bit version and you forgot to make a backup, you would lose your hardware calibration files. So you need to come in here and recalibrate each band using this procedure. Number 2, if you bought a used sBitx from somebody and you notice that the power output is all out of whack, you can go in here and do a hardware calibration. Number 3, if you do replace the finals and reset the bias because you know the finals just shorted or blew out, you'd want to come in here and recalibrate your sBitx. And number 4, well, the factory settings may not be quite accurate. You know, you may have received a radio that may have missed some quality control, and you're pumping out 40 watts on your V3 on 80 meters, and let me tell you something, it's not going to last long. You're overdriving and distorting those MOSFETs and the power that's coming through those. All right. So I'm going to do this. So now you see it bumped it down to 23 watts. I'm going to do this again. Now, if you do need a little more time, just keep pressing the tune button, or you can go into the menu and change your tune duration. I would recommend to keep it short, just so you're not generating too much heat. Okay, so I'm actually happy with that, looking at my external meter. So now the procedure, you just basically go up to each band. You follow the chart that's on the wiki page here. And right here, this chart. And then you can go ahead and recalibrate your radio. So now let's do 40 meters. And there's my current value. Press the tune button. 24 watts. Looking at the external. Saying 3 watts. Let's see. Look. And that actually is low. It's quite low on my external meter. So we're going to set that to, set this to 2. All right. I hit the start button before I hit the stop button. Oops. Let's see if it's saved yet. Now it says we're up to 8 watts. So this one's needs quite a bit of adjustment. So we're going to factor this up to 4 to increase the gain. So as you can see, this can take a little bit of time, but if you go through each band, you can get your power output pretty close. So when you have your drive level set to 100, it should be close to what it is on that frequency that you have there. So one of the reasons why we were calibrating at these specific frequencies is because that is what the manufacturer suggested that we do when the radios are being calibrated from factory. So those are the same frequencies we're using for this procedure. 32 watts, 30 watts, let's see. Now that's actually pretty high. And looking at my external meter, I can see that's pretty high, and I do not want to distort anything. So I'm going to bring this down to 3.5. And we'll save that. So this entire procedure would take you roughly half hour to 45 minutes, depending on how familiar you are with it. Not too bad when you're considering the fact that you're saving your radio from damage and from overdriving your signal. So we're getting a little bit lower here. External meter says about 26, 27. So you just keep, I'm going to do a 2031 here, save that. I think we're going to get close. We are going to end this video after I finish calibrating the 40 meter band. But the same procedure would apply to the rest of it here. Okay. That's actually pretty good. I don't mind being quite at 25 watts. Right now we're about 23 watts. I'm seeing on the external meter. So I think we're good. So now you're probably wondering, okay, where is this file located? And what do I need to do to ensure that, let's go ahead and turn that audio down. Ensure that I don't have to run this procedure again. So if you go into your folder here, your file manager, you go into sBitx, and you go into data. Those settings are stored in this file right here, the hwsettings.ini. Now if you don't have this file, when you do run the V3 Powercal editor, it will create one automatically for you, and we'll save these values in there. Okay, we're going to close that. And we're going to open this in a text editor just so you can see. So as you'll see here, it says TX band 1, 2, 3, 4. So these correspond to the bands, 80 meter band, 60, 40, So you can see that these values that we put in there are written in the file. So what you'll want to do is you can use the Easy Data tool that's in the toolbox, which is right here, and you can grab a formatted USB drive to FAT32. I think exFAT would work. There's a number of them that will work. And then you would insert your USB drive in here. You'd back up your files. And then at a later time, when you'd want to restore those files, if you're doing a complete upgrade, or if you end up screwing up the settings, you can go ahead and restore it back on your sBitx. All right, that covers this video. And whenever there are topics that come up that I see either on the Discord server or on groups.io that people are hoping, for some assistance, I try to make a video on it now. Before I was writing a ton of wiki articles, which did consume a lot of time, but I think a video is worth 1,000 words. And if you do have any questions, you can certainly join us on the Discord server. We do monitor that quite frequently, and we'll give you some support and assistance there. It's a little quicker than going on groups.io or the Facebook sBitx page. So again, thank you everyone for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. I certainly appreciate some additional subscribers here, because right now we are not monetized in any way. Again, we're volunteer developers, and we're doing this just because we want to help out the community, and we're all using the radio as well. So happy field day, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. 7-3.